Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us again for another podcast. And as usual, here to spread some knowledge and wisdom is Quentin D'Souza. How you
Hey
doing,
Rob,
Quentin?
I'm good. I'm good.
What's new? What's new with you?
Just working on refinancing some buildings again. So we've got three apartment buildings that we've put off refinancing last year and this year. So I'm starting to work on getting them ready to refinance next year. So just getting that done. And I was looking at some of the jobs data that's coming out. The US jobs data actually came out recently and kind of took everybody up here for a loop because there was a really positive report and it drove up our CMB and bond rate by about 40 basis points. So all of a sudden we saw like our mortgage rates go up and flatten too. So like actually they went up by quite a not a huge amount, but like a half point. And then all of a sudden, we were kind of like, what's going on? And it was the US jobs report. So we still have our jobs report, I think, later on in the week, and so that'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't think those increases are going to stick. I think we're going to see it go in the other direction, just because I don't think we can afford the interest rates as high as they are without doing some more damage to the Canadian economy. And we've seen some of the we've seen an increase in housing starts, but that was really based on, 2 years of housing, like a condo sales from before, right? And now we're kind of seeing those kind of come through now, but really, we've seen a 50% year over year housing start drop in the condo
Mhm.
market this year. So it's kind of crazy to see. So,
When you
you
say
know,
year over year, and then you said this year, does that mean that that happened last year, though?
well, yeah, compared to last year, the
Yeah.
amount of sales this year have dropped by 50%,
Was
which
it the
is
same the
huge.
year before, or do you know?
No, compared
No.
to last year.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but no, it was actually uh okay last year, and the year before was the top, right? But it's just compared to last year, but
Mhm.
it had gone down as well. Yeah,
So
it's
all
a
this
very interesting market.
and all this
And
stuff is what's keeping you in the country for so long. I think there's a record time span that you've been in Canada.
well, I'm going to next week. I'm headed to Halifax for a retreat for a couple of days, and then I'm down to Puerto Vallarta at the end of the month for a week.
Okay. I knew
So,
that was coming. Something must have been coming.
oh
Why go to
yeah,
Halifax?
it's a retreat, a business retreat with
Very cool.
the Toronto Business Society. So I've got like a forum group that I'm with, and 8 guys, and they're all from different parts of the country, and we get together to talk about business, and it's actually a great group. But one of the other pieces of data that I was looking at recently that kind of threw me for a loop was the amount of jobs that the public sector is hiring again. Like we've seen in July and in August, we've seen more public sector jobs. Um, while the private sector, construction, manufacturing, have all been going in the opposite direction. So it's kind
Mhm.
of kind of interesting to see.
That's
But
interesting. I don't know. I don't know if that's good.
no, I don't think so. We want to see the private sector really be growing and not the public sector, right? So, those administration payrolls, education, healthcare, and I mean, probably due to, I would say, some of the population growth that we've seen in Canada, right? But and I've also been talking, and actually really good that we have Eddie on here coming up, and we'll introduce him in a second. But I've been talking to a lot of Canadians who have been looking to, especially business owners, move out of Canada and invest in other countries and other places. So, I think this is a great podcast that we're going to do today with Eddie Lack.
Yeah, that's going to be great. I just want to remind everyone just before we get to Eddie, go over to the website, breakthroughreipodcast.ca. You'll be able to, after you hear this show, go on there and find Eddie's contact info and everyone else that we've done interviews with. So go over there, breakthroughreipodcast.ca, and then go over to iTunes and leave us a rating and review, please. It helps us get the show out there to as many people who want to hear this kind of content as we can possibly get it to. So if you haven't, I say this every time, but I want to see more of you guys go over and write us a little review, or at least leave us a rating. It does help us a lot. So please go over and do that. And now I am very excited actually to get to Eddie, who's been quietly waiting for us here, and we really appreciate you coming on. So it's Eddie Lack with us today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be super cool.
Yeah, and Eddie has won a gold medal for Sweden in World Hockey Championship. He's played for in the NHL for 6 years, and he's always loved buying and selling real estate as investments. And in 2018, injuries forced his body to retire from hockey and pursue becoming a Scottsdale Realtor. After visiting Arizona multiple times, he purchased a home and fell in love with the outdoor lifestyle. He now wants to help others achieve happiness and love of their new Arizona purchase. Expect them to bring knowledge, hard work, and a ton of passion to find the American dream home. Eddie will help fulfill your needs, aspirations, and to make sure you find the best place to call home.
Yeah, thanks for
Love
being
it.
here, man. And when you
It's
first
almost like
reached
I
out to
wrote
me,
that.
no, people don't write their own bios, do they?
Yeah.
That was just someone who really, really liked you and just took it upon themselves to write it and send it over.
Mom. Thanks, Mom.
Oh, yeah.
But you played for Vancouver Canucks. Is that right?
Correct. Correct. Yeah. 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 I played a little bit in Calgary too, in Canada. But I mostly sat on the bench in Calgary. But yeah, I was part of the team for a little bit.
Very cool. And how long were you with Vancouver?
I was with the organization for 5 years. So I started and I went through their minor leagues and everything. And then I spent 2 years with the big club until I got traded to Carolina. So kind of just like a little bit back and forth between the US and Canada.
Okay. And how does that differ a lot from Sweden?
I feel like Canada is kind of like a mix between Sweden and the US.
That's an
Like,
interesting way to put it. I can see
like
that.
you are very similar to the US when it comes to like how everything works in society and everything. But I feel like you're nice as Swedes, so yeah, it's nice.
Oh, that's good.
At least, well, you weren't in Toronto then. Because I
No.
don't know. I find that like the Canadian stereotype does not shine true when you go down to Toronto. It's like the door slams in your face every time.
No, come
Yes,
on.
it does.
No, come on. All right. Well, I'm curious. So, what's inspired you to transition from professional hockey to real estate and the Arizona market?
So I think the biggest thing for me was just like I wanted to do something where I met a lot of new people, and I'm a people person, and just love to hear people's stories about everything, right? And real estate was something, like you said too. It was something that uh, I invested in while I was still playing, and something that I started to gain knowledge in, and I just felt that like this was something that was fun. And when you play professional sport, it's such a short career, right? And this was kind of my way of finding my second passion in life, and it's been really fun so far.
Did you what tell us a little bit about your investments, what stuff you were doing while you were playing?
So when I was playing, I had a few rentals in Sweden because I always thought that I was gonna move back eventually. And I did a few developments in a brand new skiing resort in Sweden too. And I since then sold everything there and just moved it here. But yeah, just the rentals and stuff is kind of something that my family has preached to me since I was young, and it is a way to build passive income. Now, the way that I do it here with the Airbnbs and everything, it's not that passive, but
But
but it
It
you
was more
still,
passive in Sweden, you found?
yeah.
How are the tenant rules? I'm assuming that the ski resort stuff was short-term rental.
The ski resort was actually just like spec homes that we built
Oh, okay.
and sold. The rentals were in Stockholm, but like when you compare the prices and what you can rent them out for and everything, I mean, it made so much more sense for me to do it here instead of there.
Okay, I
Interesting.
got you. But how are for the rentals, what's the landlord tenant situation like there? Is there a lot of difference? Do the tenants have like a lot of, especially in Canada? Did you do any investing in Canada?
No, I didn't.
No.
No.
The landlord tenant rules are very pro tenant, right? So it's
Yes.
But
often
like
hard.
in Ontario for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
throughout, I would say the rest of Canada, somewhat more than I think you would find in the States.
Some states, yeah. Like California is like Ontario, I think.
Oh,
And
yeah?
yeah, and Alberta is kind of like Arizona and Florida, I think. But
Yes. Yeah,
So
but
what was that like there, though?
Swe Sweden was still very pro tenant,
okay.
and it was really hard. I mean, one time I had to kick a guy out because he broke all the HOA. Well, you guys call it strata, right? So like all the rules for like the buildings and everything, and he broke like half,
Uh,
half of them, and like it was still really tough to get him out. But yeah.
hmm, that's interesting. But like, is it a story? What kind of rules he was breaking, or is it?
No, it was more like s- smoking and parties and
Oh, gotcha.
he was a younger guy and he was a nightclub promoter, which probably should have been my first red flag, but like I was young and like naive, and I always thought like, oh yeah, but I'm gonna come home and like I'm gonna be able to skip the line, when I get in there. But yeah, it was
Often doesn't turn out that way, does it?
no, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what you've put your money from Sweden into then. In the States, what kind of things are you doing there?
Yeah, so we have three Airbnbs. Me and my wife, we bought them 2019 through 20, and still kind of early in the Airbnb boom here, and uh, we still have those. Since then, we have kind of transitioned a little bit to more development and spec homes and stuff now. When the interest rates got so high, right? It has been tough to get them to really pencil in to make it worth it with the Airbnbs and everything. So we have more gone into to developing and building houses here.
Mhm.
Interesting. So those Airbnbs, the three properties that you purchased in 2019-20, what did you buy them for?
So the first one we bought for 525,000.
Wow, okay, so these are some really nice places then.
Yeah, yeah. The ride in Old Town in Scottsdale, because we get a ton of bachelor and bachelorette parties and golf trips and people from Canada that come to watch their favorite football team and stuff when they play the Cardinals. We obviously don't have an NHL team anymore. We lost that the spring, so won't get too many hockey fans down anymore, I think. But yeah, they're really central and really close to um, all the bars and like the restaurants and everything. So yeah.
Okay. And they what kind of like numbers do you get on those? Like, have you done well with them? Like,
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
purchased them like, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like we bought them for around that 525, and then we put 100,000 into them to renovate them, or like one we bought that was fully renovated but it didn't have a pool, and you need to have a pool if you're gonna have an Airbnb here, because everyone just wants to spend time outside and hang out, right?
That's hot.
So they gross about 130 to 150,000 a year.
Per
So
per
yeah, yeah,
okay,
per
so that's
rental.
like so like 12 to 15K a month or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's some impressive numbers for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And
I
that's why
should be
kind of
investing there
everyone
too,
else
obviously.
jumped into it, right?
Mhm.
So like those same places now that we got for 600 with a 4% interest rate, they go for like 800-900 now
Really?
Wow, okay.
with a 7% interest rate. So
Huh.
yeah, just like a lot harder to get it to pencil in now. Yeah.
Right. But
So
you
you
but you
mentioned
got
to
the
me,
you got the appreciation on that though.
oh
That's a
yeah,
Oh
that's a
yeah,
big
for sure.
win. Like
uh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
100%. 100%.
now you had mentioned to me when we first got in contact with each other that that excuse me, a significant amount of the people you're helping invest are Canadians.
Yes, yes.
So
A lot of people that I work with, I would say most are from Vancouver, but I get some Toronto, Calgary. They feel like that the investment doesn't really make sense where they are right now. So they move a lot of money here because they feel like the returns are a lot better here.
so how do they find you?
Through social media or referrals, because I help one of their friends or a family member, and yeah, then um, they kind of know me because they saw me play hockey on TV once, and then they come down and we have our initial consultation and everything. We have lunch and go and look at a few um properties that I have, and yeah, that you usually get them pretty excited about this.
And
That's
then
cool.
and then do you find that are what percentage of these people are relocating versus just investing?
I would say um I would say about 20% are relocating. I would say about 40% is buying a place just to have a second home here and rent it out when they're not here. And they're just happy that their mortgage is taken care of for like
Mhm.
the year, right? But they don't really care if it makes that much money or not, because they just want a place that they can be here like 4 or 5 weeks a year. And then I would say and the other 40% is just strictly investment.
Okay,
Gotcha.
okay. So there's got to be some challenges, I guess, for Canadians that are coming there to purchase investments. Like, what are some of the main challenges that you guys run into, and then how do you overcome them?
So I think the main challenge right now is the mortgage rates and to get pre-qualified for a Canadian, right? So RBC has been a great option for us because they got the border program and everything, and with the Airbnbs too. We do have a DSCR loan, it's called. So they don't need a bunch of um, credit scores or anything, or they don't really need any experience in the US because they lend on the property.
And what's that program called? Sorry.
A DSCR loan. So as long as it's a rental and you keep it as a rental, and the approximately monthly revenue exceeds the mortgage, then you will get pre-qualified for it.
Is that it? Just the mortgage? So like a
Yes.
1.0 DCR on a
Yeah.
mortgage?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
That's
sounds
Yeah.
pretty
pretty
good.
decent.
What are the other
Yeah.
terms?
So in terms of developments and stuff,
For the
for
mortgages?
so the DSCR loan requires 25% down.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and the interest rate is usually very competitive with everything else. When it comes to um, the other option that we have would be to go to a portfolio lender who can lend, because they don't sell the loans through to Fannie or Freddie, right? Like the
Mhm.
portfolio lenders keep the loan within the bank. So if the bank has the money to lend, and it makes sense for them to lend on it, they will lend, compared to if you go through a mortgage broker to get a rate as a Canadian. It's usually going to be prime +2, because they have a lot more rules and regulations to go through as a Canadian.
And so what's the rate usually with the DSCR loan?
So it is right now. I think it's like 0.5% over the 30-year fix. So like now the rates, like you guys said, went up again, and it was the same for us. So right now I think it's high sixes for the DSCR loan, and if you're looking at going through a mortgage broker, that same rate is probably going to be over 8.
Okay. So it's gonna be
Wow.
under, it's probably gonna be under 8 though.
Yes.
But that's quite a high amount too. Are you able to still I guess you're able to get the financing, but would you be cash flow positive on a rental at that amount?
Yeah, you're like 6-7% ROI, but I mean that's what I said like too. I mean, I think that I can do better than the 6 or 7% somewhere else, you know?
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So then when you have Canadians that are coming down and looking, and so one of the challenges is financing for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and you're helping them by providing the DSCR or connecting with RBC and
Yeah,
and even RBC. I'm with RBC. Well, I have a RBC US account, and they
yeah,
gave me a US credit card, and then I was able to build a US credit score. But I
yeah,
found out the big trick with doing that is that your US credit card has to have a US address.
yes.
So if it doesn't have a US address, you don't actually build a US credit score, even though I have an ITIN number.
Oh,
Until I actually put like a US address on the credit card,
yeah.
then it started reporting to TransUnion in the US. And now I have a credit score. Even though I had a credit card for like 6 years in the
Oh,
US, I never had a credit score
Wow.
until I figured out that one thing.
so
And
what is that, a PO box?
yeah, well, I have a mailing address in the US,
Right,
and
you have
that
a
mail
nice office down there.
yes. And but now I have a credit score because I have my credit card has a US address and any other and I was able to get a couple of other credit cards now with that US address. And so I started to build a credit score in the US. So
Hmm,
I'm hoping that that helps with being able to get financing on
Yes.
better terms in the US with an ITIN number. Is that possible?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
100%. And the RBC US, I mean, if you're a Canadian and you can get financing through RBC, I would 100%. It takes a little bit longer to go through the process to close on a house and everything, but their rates in the US right now is in the fives. I mean,
Wow.
no one can beat that.
Wow. That's it. That's really good news.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, that's a good spread then for investment properties down there
That is a
then.
lot. That is a lot better spread than an eight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. So then what kind of like um with Airbnb, what
Yeah.
factors are you kind of looking at or are important for Canadians when they're looking to invest in short-term rentals in Arizona?
So I mean, the only thing that kind of differentiates the Canadians from if a US would invest is we have a foreign investor tax here. So it doesn't affect you at all. And this goes from state to state. There's different laws everywhere, but in Arizona we have a foreign investor tax,
hmm.
and it doesn't affect you when you buy the property, but when you go to sell the property eventually, they have a withholding tax. So they keep 30% of the sale price
Of the sale price or of any gain?
of the sale price to make
Oh.
sure that pay the IRS.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes.
And then how long do they hold it for?
Until the next tax season.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Yes.
a year. That's typical because of
Yes.
being a Canadian and
Yeah.
I've got some properties in Tampa and that's the warning I got too is like just know if you ever sell,
Yes.
Mm,
you're not going to
We
have
have
all the
been
money.
able
Yeah.
we have been able to work with good lawyers and accountants too. So there is ways around it, especially if you're using it as an investment 100%. So there is ways to get it through an Arizona LLC, which holds the property, but then it funnels to a US C Corp or LP that funnels to a Canadian company in the end. And through that, we have been able to get around the FERPTA tax. But yeah, you really need a good lawyer team around you to make that happen. And that's something that I really recommend setting up when you buy the property, because everything needs to be set up with a long-term plan when you buy too, right? So you're like,
And you're able to set people up
yeah,
with that kind of team?
yeah.
Right on. Um, so what would you say like are the most important factors for people that are considering Airbnb, purchase for Airbnb?
So for the Airbnbs here, in terms of what the property looks like, I would 100% at least have 4 bedrooms, because the 3 bedrooms been really not doing well on Airbnb in general. I would have a pool, like I said before, because everyone just wants to spend time outside. I would have it centrally located, very close to all the bars and the restaurants and everything. And it seems like everyone that come here wants like to have a lot of amenities too, like
Yeah.
um putting green or a pickleball court, or like all those things kind of bring value up on the overall experience.
So when you say the location, like, are there a couple of different locations that you work with that fit that bill?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
There's
what would they be and like what are the differences between them?
so they are kind of similar in price. The difference is really like sorry, there's not that much difference in the location. What differentiates it is price. I mean, we have some of these larger Airbnbs and everything. We developed them too, but those ones you buy them for around 3.5 million bucks, but they bring in 450 500K a year, right?
Whoa.
So it all kind of depends on your um, price point. And I mean, we even sold some smaller condo Airbnbs and everything thing like too. But yeah, it all kind of depends on where you feel comfortable in being in your price range.
But is it like in Phoenix or is it in Scottsdale?
Scott-
Like
Scottsdale, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
you don't work with Airbnbs in Phoenix?
Yeah, yeah, we do a little bit. They are a little bit cheaper there, but they also bring in less. I do like to work in Scottsdale more because I do like the rules and regulations around the Airbnbs and everything in Scottsdale more than Phoenix. Phoenix seems to be a little bit more um stingy with knowing exactly who's staying in the Airbnbs and like the background checks and everything like that. So I still like Scottsdale a lot better.
Okay.
What
So what
about
would you say would be like the minimum price that someone would need to get into something there that was going
yeah.
to work well?
Uh, I would say 600 is probably the minimum, 600,000.
So
And
no more of those deals that you got in
no
19.
more of the deals that I got. Yeah, no, I mean, the market's gone up so much since I bought, right? I mean, in a lot of areas, the market has gone up 40-50% since I bought. And those deals are just really hard to find now. I mean, they're the only way that you could get it for a better price and get exactly what you want is like if you buy something that is in a not good condition, and you put money into it,
You're left in the same spot. You're just
you're
doing more
you're
work.
yourself, but it's just more work, and you kind of end up in the same spot. Yeah.
Hmm. Maybe you can share a couple of like success stories that of Canadians that you've helped.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I I I probably helped for Airbnbs. I probably helped about 25 to 30 people buy Airbnbs, and I've only sold one back yet. So
Wow.
everyone really seemed to love it, and uh, a lot of my clients just love it for the accessibility to have something here too, if they want to come to visit, right? And um, most people that invest with me just like end up not only falling in love uh, with the rental income, but also the lifestyle and everything here, and a lot of them have started with just one property that they rent out full time, but then they bought a second one with me that like they just use for themselves when they're down here, right? So I think that that's my biggest success story, is just like people falling in love with the lifestyle and everything here, and just want to spend more time here. When it comes down to like the investment part, I mean, with the development and everything, like we have a lot of investment tools that brings in like 60 to 70% ROI in like 12 to 16 months.
So what you're saying is you're looking for investment partners for your developments.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And
Correct.
so tell us more about your developments.
Yeah. So Paradise Valley is kind of the area that blew up the most here since 2020. And that that is kind of the Beverly Hills of Arizona. And when I first moved here, it was the same. I mean, you could buy a home for 3 or 4 million, while now those same homes are like 7, 8 million. So Paradise Valley has become really unattainable for a lot of people. So when it comes to the development and stuff, a lot of people focus on Paradise Valley, where you buy the land now for just 3 million, and then you have to build a house for four, 4.5, and hope that you sell it for 10 when you're done. While I have this area, it's called the Cactus Corridor, and it's right next to Paradise Valley, and it's still an acre lots, very cent centrally located and close to everything. But you buy these lots for 1.3 and 1.4, and you put a $2 million house on there, and then you sell it for 5 instead of 10, right? So that area is really up and coming, and that's kind of like an area that I've focused on for the last 2 years here, and I'm gonna continue to focus on it. So we have 4 builds going there right now. I think that I can handle about 6 to 7 a year, and that's about it. But that area is really growing, and it is about an 18-month project from start to finish.
Are there people that are like still buying in that area with like
Yes,
the interest rates and
a
everything?
ton.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
If
So,
they're buying $5 million houses, Quentin.
well, they're like movie stars or NHL players. So wait a minute.
There, there, there's so many people that are moving here with money from California,
Oh, interesting.
and
Uh-huh.
and 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 that is kind of why our market has gone up so much in the last few years. I mean, at one time we had 200 people per day from just California moving here, which is crazy.
Wow. What is it just because of the prices or what's driving people to move to Arizona?
A lot of people
Politics.
leave California for politics because
Yeah.
of politics. Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And then I mean, even um, property ta taxes and what you can get for a house here compared to there. I mean, I talked to an agent in California, and we compare like a 5,000 square feet home here that I built, and the property taxes on that house I think was like 5,500, and uh, compared to what the same house would have been there, like the property taxes would have probably been 80,000 to 90,000 a year. I mean, it is a huge difference.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's gigantic. Is it because there's a lack of like are the services not the same in Arizona or the services are the same? It's just the tax rates.
Oh, it's all the same. It's just the tax rates.
It's
Yeah.
called that's ego tax,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The bloat, government bloat. That's
So
crazy.
I wanted to ask you how your experience as an NHL goalie influenced your approach to business as a realtor.
Yeah. So it was just kind of, I approached it the same way because like I always thought, and I proved that to myself when I made the NHL, but I proved to myself that I can do whatever as long as I put the effort and the time into it, it's gonna work out eventually, right? And that's the same type of mindset that I had with real estate, because like I mean when you start in this business, it's not the easiest, right? And I didn't really know what I was gonna get my clients from or anything, right? It was just kind of on a whim,
Yeah,
and uh, it just took like a lot of faith in the beginning uh, to trust the process and like know that I'm not gonna be outworked, right? And that was the same mentality that I took with me from hockey, I think.
very cool. So, like, just out of curiosity, tell us about the process. Like, how long did it take to get some traction and get things going? Because I mean, like,
Yeah.
was it at first people are like, oh, like, what does a hockey player know about real
Yeah.
estate? Really? Like, come on. Like
So
to get the
my
trust and
first
everything.
client I
Hmm.
got from hockey because I helped out with ASU as a volunteer coach here at the college. So when they had new coaches or family members of the players, they wanted to buy places and everything like here. So that that's kind of how I started with real estate here, was still through hockey. And uh, then it just kind of snowballed from there, I guess. And my biggest hurdle was just like when I first started was I have identified as Eddie the hockey player my entire life, right? And when you're out and you're meeting people and everything, like, hi, I'm Eddie. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a hockey player, right? And everyone's like, oh wow, this is like cool. And then I went from that to I'm Eddie, the real estate agent, and I felt like I went from like the top of the food chain to like the bottom of the food chain, right? And I just felt that
Yeah.
like it, it was a tough mental thing for me to identify as a real estate agent from the start because I hadn't helped anyone buy or sell, right? But now when I got over that mental hurdle and everything, and now I'm proud of what I do because I feel like I have helped people and I helping people, right? And but that was like the biggest hurdle for me. I felt like so it was just like from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. And it is funny because, a lot of people would let that mindset get in their way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
It's the same as when like a lot of people tell you to stay away from real estate investing
yeah,
when you go and talk about starting it, right?
yeah,
So it's just getting out of your own way, I guess, a little bit.
yeah, 100%.
Now, were you developing before you became a realtor though?
No, no,
No.
no.
Oh, okay.
I developed in Sweden, but that's so far away. I mean, everything's so different here compared to like there. So I started develop. I think I did my first just like flip was like a year in, and then it kind of just like snowballed into bigger and bigger projects and everything. But I did it with my own money to start because I wanted to learn on my own dime, right? And I didn't want anyone else to like uh pay for my mistakes because like I like knew that there was gonna be a lot of mistakes in the beginning. I mean, so I've done like the ground up builds, I would say for like the last 3.5, 4 years now, around there.
And you learned a lot and then you started investing with people,
Yes, yes, yes.
with partners.
Yeah.
So how can somebody learn more about your developments? Where would they go?
You can reach out to me. You can find all my contact info on my website, which is probably a link going here, right?
Mm-hmm. It's
Or
eddielack.com, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's
yeah. Or I am active on social and everything. So at EddieLack31 on Instagram and at EddieLack on X or Twitter or whatever we call it now.
uh-huh.
But yeah, I'd love to connect with anyone and share my story and see if we can do anything together.
Absolutely. Well, we really appreciate you coming on today. It's been a treat.
You know
So
what kind of, just one last question, like
Yeah.
what kind of advice would you leave people with when like you've got this NHL experience, you're a real estate investor, you're a successful developer, like what kind of advice would you leave people with?
I would say that the biggest advice that I can get is like be passionate of what you invest in and like learn everything about it. Even though like you're a passive investor, whatever, like the best investments are the one that you're passionate about and when you just give someone money and like think it's gonna work out, it never does. Like you have to work on it to make it work. So that that is my
success doesn't fall from the sky, is what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You have to put some effort into it.
Correct.
And I was going to actually ask you one more question too, because I am curious, like what was like one of the most memorable moments from the NHL when you were playing?
I think um just like my first game. I mean, like the like nerves and everything, and I worked so hard to get there for such a long time, and uh, I remember we were wearing these heart rate monitors during the games and the practices and everything, and our strength coach came down to me all after the first period, and he asked me, "Were you nervous during the first period?" And I'm like, I don't know. Like I felt kind of normal, I guess. And he's like, "Well, your heart rate was like 195 during the national anthem, so I think you were pretty nervous." But yeah.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of people don't get to experience though, right? Just
Yeah.
like be on there, and then that's amazing. It's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah.
Well, man, thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing everything with us. Really
Yeah.
appreciate that. We're gonna have all the links in the show notes. But the best one, easy to remember, eddielack.com. You can go there now and see all the stuff that Eddie's doing. And Quentin, how can people get in touch with you?
You can visit me at quintonbasouza.com if you want to set up for like a 15-minute call. We can talk about real estate. And how about you, Rob?
You can't talk about nothing else, just real
Ah,
estate.
I like talking about real estate. That's why we have this.
You can reach me at rob@mrbreakthrough.ca. Just email me, rob@mrbreakthrough.ca. That's the best way to get in touch with me. And yeah, well, this has been a great one. I really appreciate all of you listening, and we will see you next time.